I can do what I want when I want to do it. I can do what I need when I need to get through it. When I need someone else, can't be too proud for help, but gotta look after myself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going to the basics of what a good day is. What a good day is. And that's exactly what the day is. But it's exactly what you make it. So please don't go wasting. And I'll do the same, even if it's raining. How could I complain? And my feels got me feeling some type of way. You always free to take a break. Hope you feel what I felt. You gotta look after yourself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to the basics of what a good day is. Of what a good day is. What a good day is. And that's exactly what the day is.
All right, y'all, it is that time. It is a beautiful day on this Tuesday. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Good to see y'all in here. You know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. And oh man, we up in here looking good, all crispy and clean on the screen. Welcome, y'all. Welcome back to another YouTube live stream and another episode of The Morning Show. I'm your host, Classy Beats of ClassyBeats.com, Patreon.com/ClassyBeats, by the way. Y'all check it out. And we're going to get into it today. We got a lot to talk about. We got some breaking news. Jayz is finally filing a lawsuit against Tony Buzbee. I cannot wait to see how this goes. I hope he wins, and I hope Tony Buzbee gets everything that he deserves in that. Surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, Jane Doe is mentioned in this lawsuit too. So we'll get into that. We got some news about Drake and his battle versus UMG. He's trying to take down the man. And then of course, we're gonna get into Diddy. He's got another lawsuit coming out. This man cannot catch a break. Either way, we're gonna start with the show here in a minute. But before we get into it, I gotta say what's up to the people, man. Shout out to everybody that's in the building. I see y'all in here this morning. Shout out to you. We got my awesome, amazing Amy is in the building. Shout out to Amy. I appreciate you. Les Cleaver is up in here. Mr. Brown's in the building as well, showing love. Hey, we gotta take a second, man. Mr. Brown is in here. He says, good morning, Classy Beats and everyone. And Amy, I had a heart attack yesterday morning. And he was here watching the show yesterday morning too, which is crazy. And I'm in the hospital as we speak, prepared for surgery this morning at 9 a.m. Montana time. Love you guys. Man, can y'all please send your well wishes, thoughts, and prayers out to Mr. Brown? That is no joke. So we will definitely be praying for you, Mr. Brown. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you letting us know. And we will definitely keep you in our prayers. Wow. If you're still watching, man, let us know when you get out of the surgery and when you make it out. once you're all settled. All right, so give us an update. And actually, Mr. Brown, if you want to call in and just say what's up once you're done, let me know, because I'd love to hear from you and make sure you're all good. We've got A Fitz in here as well. Good morning, A Fitz. Michi's in the building. Nash is in here. Blue Summer's in the building. Shout out to you. The Honorable Attorney Kel Bell is in here. Les Cleaver, my guy, has been a member for 5 months. Is thinking of you all. I'm blessed to be a part of the CEB family. Thank you so much. We've got Trisha in here. Taco Tuesdays in the building. It's your day, Taco Tuesday. Jay Bugmaster Valencia. Mo Mac is in here. Libby 22 SC Girl is in the building. We've also got Keyshawn's in here. Good morning, Keyshawn. And I see a bunch of y'all in here as well. Shout out to Brown Sugar Babe in the building as well. All right, we're going to go ahead and get into it. If y'all could do me one huge favor, make sure you like the video on your way in. Not only is it free, not only does it help the channel to grow, but it lets the algorithm know you guys are enjoying the show, and it shares the video on the channel out with more people. It also takes less than 2 seconds. Come on, y'all, just like the video. I don't ask for much. Mr. Brown is in here. Okay, shout out to Mr. Brown. He's still waiting to go in. He says, thank you. They just took another scan. It's time for the operation, so I'm waiting. All right. All right, we're definitely going to be praying, Mr. Brown. It's good to see you in here. Glad it wasn't anything too crazy, and it wasn't worse for sure. So let us know how everything goes. I'll be here waiting, and you can even text me or call me at that number too once you're done, even if we're not live. So I want to make sure you're all set, man. So shout out to Mr. Brown, and y'all make sure you keep him in your thoughts and prayers. All right, let's go ahead and get into our first topic today. I mentioned to y'all what's going on with Drake. We've been covering this entire battle Drake's been going through at length. And recently, Drake has had a back and forth with iHeartMedia. iHeartMedia, y'all know there's a lot of radio shows and a lot of shows that some of you may watch regularly that are under iHeartMedia, The Breakfast Club being one of them. We're going to talk about the Breakfast Club here shortly. The iHeartMedia was actually mentioned in Drake's recent lawsuit against UMG as one of the entities that were used to push and promote Not Like Us, the song that really, had an effect on Drake's brand overall. And one of the reasons Drake is saying that UMG went about this the wrong way and illegally. So now there's some news coming out that iHeartMedia has been removed from the lawsuit because Drake and iHeartMedia had reached some type of settlement. We don't know what that settlement is. We don't know if it was cash. We don't know if they said they're going to give him some things. We have heard reports about what was included in the settlement, but a lot of them aren't credible. We're going to go through it here in a second, and I want to read mostly the factual background of this lawsuit that Drake filed. And we've also got an update here from the OVO docket over on X. What did they say? They said in a 26-page motion for discovery just submitted to the Bexar County District Court, Drake's legal team doubles down on his allegations that UMG provided payments to iHeartMedia for radio play. They also cite the FCC's investigation of iHeartMedia for payola violation. So this is nothing new for them. On January 23rd, 2025, UMG filed a motion to dismiss Drake's Texas petition requesting the pre-suit deposition of UMG, citing the Texas Citizens Participation Act, also known as the TCPA. UMG stated that under the TCPA, their actions were covered by free speech. Drake's legal team states that under the same TCPA laws that UMG cited, Drake is entitled to discovery. UMG doesn't want to give them anything. Drake's legal team asked the Bexar County District Court to hold off on any hearings for UMG's motion to dismiss the Texas petition until they can complete discovery. So we're going to see what happens there. We're going to read through some of this motion. But before I do that, there is a report for Nancy Dillon, obviously over there working with Rolling Stone. And there were reports of this settlement. Nancy Dillon said, and she's quoting a source that she says at iHeartMedia, that in exchange for documents that showed iHeart did nothing wrong, Drake agreed to drop his petition. No payments were made by either one of us. A source at iHeartMedia tells Rolling Stone. Well, what's the problem with this source? The problem with this source is that people are saying it's Charlemagne the God, and we're going to get into why that's a problem in a second, because not only is the man not a credible source in this instance, but he has an incentive to say these things because he works with iHeartMedia. He works for iHeartMedia in this case. But let's see what they actually said here. DJ Academics breaks it down and saw the news that came out from Rolling Stone and gives a little bit of background and insight into what's going on behind the scenes with Charlemagne, iHeartMedia, and Drake in general. Here we go.
She had a source at iHeartMedia saying in exchange for Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us. Nancy Dillon added some further context because she says she had a source at iHeartMedia saying in exchange for documents that showed iHeart did nothing wrong, Drake agreed to drop his petition. No payments were made by either one of us. Now, that came out, and obviously fan groups are taking it one way or the other, blah, blah, blah. And then later we get to hear that Drake actually filed, even though he dismissed or he was down to remove iHeartMedia from the petition, he filed a motion for discovery, and he's using certain things that he's alleging iHeartMedia was complicit in. For example, in this 26-page motion for discovery, he submitted to Dexter County's District Court. Drake's legal team is doubling down on the allegations that UMG provided payments to iHeartMedia for radio play. They also cite the FCC investigation of iHeartMedia for payola violations. Now, I know we're in this whole clusterfuck of fans want to be like, yo, look, Drake's desperate, and oh, look, no, this is real. Like, it means that Drake got everything like figured out and they're going to pay him billions of dollars. Let me give you the actual understanding of what this is. Number one, and also here's the thing too. I seen Shorty on, what's her name? Lauren LaRosa or something? Lauren LaRosa. She like the third wheel on the Breakfast Club. So she actually put out, listen, let me go.
Okay, so y'all remember the whole legal back and forth that Drake had happening in Texas with like iHeart, and he was alleging that Universal Music Group was paying money to iHeart radio stations over Not Like Us and boosting the streams. This is probably so true. There have been reports that there was an alleged settlement, but that is not what happened.
What happened?
Well, we know nobody cares about the truth and the lies more entertaining, but I need DJ Academics and all the Drake fan pages to gather around.
Hold up. I know I was mentioning, what the fuck?
To get the truth regardless.
Get the facts.
It's simple. What Drake filed against iHeart wasn't a lawsuit. What he filed was a petition.
Yes.
And it was a petition to try to make iHeart give a deposition. So Drake wasn't asking for money. He was asking for information. Right. So iHeart could not have made a payment. iHeart couldn't.
Now, Mr. Charlotte, since you called for the king, you have gotten the king.
That's not true.
I'm very aware this is a petition. Also, before you report on this, we also have to remind everyone that Charlemagne works for the Breakfast Club, which is owned solely by iHeartMedia.
There it is.
You get what I'm saying? It's like basically saying Academics TV on Twitter tweeted out some shit about me, and it's like, well, who owns it? Me. You get what I'm saying? Hey, the point is, we also have to consider this source, but I will give the actual understanding of what this is, and let me just keep going. But I'm only responding since, when you call for the king do step up.
Make iHeart give a deposition. So Drake wasn't asking for money. He was asking for information. Right. So iHeart could not have made a payment. iHeart could negotiate to give Drake documents or something else showing they didn't do anything wrong. And once Drake received those documents and saw that there was nothing there, he could agree to drop his petition. And that's exactly what happened. Okay.
So, yeah, I don't like this BS. Again, it's Charlemagne, so it is what it is. Charlemagne, you don't know that unless you're going to say you heard and saw and you were there and in the room. We don't know what happened. You don't know what happened. And obviously somebody probably wrote him an email and said, hey, can you address this since this is in your wheelhouse and talk about what's going on with Drake? We're going to read. I'm not going to read through the full petition, but I want to get into the actual introduction and factual background on what's going on between Drake and iHeartMedia and UMG at some point. What is Drake looking for? What does he need in this case? And what information was he seeking? Because as mentioned by the OVO docket, he's doubling down here. And this was just filed within the last 24 hours. So what do they say? This is Aubrey Drake Graham requesting depositions of iHeartMedia Incorporated and UMG Recordings Incorporated. Petitioner's motion for discovery under the Texas Citizens Participation Act, or the TCPA, and the motion for continuance of the TCPA hearing. Introduction and factual background. Petitioner Drake files this motion seeking limited discovery from UMG's recording incorporated UMG pursuant to civil practice and remedies, and they've got the code there. Drake filed a petition under the Texas Rule of Civil Procedure 202 seeking narrow pre-suit discovery into the conduct of UMG and iHeartMedia, and UMG does not even want to give him that. They want to put it off. Drake is asking for a continuance here, but UMG is trying to hold off on doing anything when it comes to giving Drake any information. We'll see how that goes moving forward. UMG and iHeartMedia Incorporated, in connection with UMG's unlawful efforts to turn the song Not Like Us into a viral mega hit. Exhibit A, the petition, UMG holds exclusive control over licensing the song and, as the petition alleges, engaged in deliberate, irregular, and inappropriate business practices, including covert and illegal pay-to-play payola deals to create a record-shattering spread of Not Like Us. Now, this is interesting that they use the word irregular. I wonder what would be considered regular when it comes to record labels in the industry. And we know the type of deals that they make with the Spotify, with the iHeartMedia to push things. What would be considered irregular there? Would it be maybe instead of giving Spotify their usual 7% discount on the licensing, they gave them a 20% discount? I'll be interested to see moving forward what goes into that. Drake's concerns regarding UMG's apparent misconduct are detailed in his petition, but also supported by widespread concerns regarding industry practices, including in Texas. Recently, on February 6, 2025, the Federal Communications Commission, or the FCC, issued an enforcement advisory regarding the covert manipulation of radio airplay in violation of FCC's payola rules. Just last week, on February 24, 2025, the FCC made clear that its regulatory interests touch on conduct in this district. Indeed, the FCC made public a request it sent to iHeartMedia regarding compliance with payola rules in connection with upcoming events in Texas. So it looks like iHeartMedia is already under the microscope from what this is saying. And Drake's in this petition. So see, you guys see what I'm talking about? We already know something's going on here. The FCC is looking into what iHeartMedia has been doing. Let's go ahead and get this taken care of, because UMG most likely had a hand in working with iHeartMedia in the same way. Along these lines, Drake's petition sought pre-suit discovery because he believes UMG's improper promotional conduct, promoting the Not Like Us song, may give rise to claims of civil fraud, racketeering, or other causes of action against UMG and its many as of yet unidentified co-conspirators, which some were mentioned, Spotify being one of them. Determined to resist discovery, however limited, into its secret promotional tactics at all costs, on January 23rd, 2025, UMG filed a motion to dismiss Drake's petition under the TCPA, which we talked about, right? Arguing that Drake's petition is foreclosed by the TCPA because, inter alia, I know I'm saying that wrong, I apologize, the petition is allegedly related to UMG's core free speech protected by the First Amendment, and because the commercial speech exception of the TCPA, which exempts certain types of commercial conduct from the TCPA regime, does not apply. So another way of them saying we shouldn't have to give you that information. Drake will respond to the merits of this TCPA motion in due course. However, under the clear language of the TCPA and reinforced by the case law, Drake is entitled to discovery on UMG's sweeping assertions made in the TCPA motion. Specifically, Section 27 of the TCPA provides for limited discovery relevant to a motion to dismiss under the TCPA. This provision acts as a critical check against defendants using TCPA as a blunt instrument to snuff out meritorious suits. Texas Civil Practice and REM Code 27, and then they cite that here. This is exactly what UMG is trying to do here. Thus, Drake respectfully moves the court for permission to take a corporate representative disposition not to exceed 4 hours and the production of limited categories of documents that go into the factual basis of UMG's TCPA related claims. Without this discovery, Drake cannot fairly test or refute the factual basis for UMG's claims that, for example, it was merely a clearinghouse in promoting the song. It was merely as a clearinghouse in promoting the song, or that it was not doing so in its capacity as a seller of goods or services. Finally, because Drake is entitled to pre-hearing discovery under Section 27, Drake requests a continuance of the hearing on the TCPA motion currently set for March 24th of 2025 to afford a reasonable amount of time to complete discovery. So Drake is trying to dig. He's trying to get as much information as he can from iHeartMedia. I'll be interested to see how the judge rules on this. If they get a continuance, I would like for this to start in 3 weeks, but who knows what's going to happen in this case. All we know is that iHeartMedia, there's a reason that they were pulling away from this. They're already under the microscope from the FCC, and may this be another way that UMG is gonna take a hit, and they're gonna be the last one standing when it comes to these lawsuits. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments and in the chat. Wow. And shout out to everybody celebrating Taco Tuesday. I see y'all in here. Happy Taco Tuesday. Taco Tuesday's in here turning up. We've also got a couple super chats I want to get to, and then we're going to get into the topic that y'all came here for. I know y'all want to talk about Jay-Z and him finally taking shots back at Tony Buzbee. Not in an Instagram post, not in a press conference, but in an actual legal recourse. So it's going to be fun to go through this one. Let me go ahead and update my title, and then I'll read a couple of these super chats. Let's get Jay-Z up there. This man, shout out to Jay-Z. He's out here winning. So we had shout out to Shauna Lathan in the buildings. Appreciate you, Shauna. She just gifted or just dropped a 10 bomb. Shout out to Shauna for the 10 bomb. Didn't even leave a comment, just showing love. Thank you, Shauna, for the support. I appreciate you dropping the 10 bomb. You did not have to do that. And I will be reading super chats as we go throughout the show. So shout out to Shauna for that. And I appreciate the support. Thank y'all to everyone who's liked the video so far as well. We've got over 500 of you in here, and a fifth of you have liked the video. So we're looking a little thin on the likes. So if y'all could, please make sure you like the video on your way in. It's free. All right. And it really does help out a lot. So good morning to everyone that's in here. Also, y'all let me know what you think about that Karen Reed trial too. It's looking like we're actually half and half when it comes to Karen Reed. I asked you guys in the chat if you want me to cover the Karen Reed retrial. Right now, 59% of you say yes, and 41% of you said no. Okay, I'll be interested to see. And whichever way you vote, let me know why you think we should or shouldn't cover that trial. I'll be interested to see what y'all think. All right, let's go ahead and get into this one. So, as we know, Jay-Z, he got a huge win against Tony Buzbee. And Tony Buzbee, let's be honest, he's in shambles right now. Tony Buzbee, he got in trouble with the Southern District of New York. We don't know what's going to happen when it comes to Tony Buzbee in the bar. Now he's still trying to plead with Judge Torres to give him some time to handle everything, make sure he's got all of his ducks in a row. It's not looking great for him. Now, Jay-Z is finally countersuing, we'll call it. I don't know if it's officially a countersuit, but he's finally suing Tony Buzbee. And guess who else is mentioned in this lawsuit? The Jane Doe. I didn't know if Jay-Z was going to leave Jane Doe out of this because it's clear that she had a lot of issues going on, and we don't know why this lawsuit was brought forward in the first place against Jay-Z. But now that we're here, Jay-Z's filing a lawsuit. Is going directly against Tony Buzbee and Jane Doe. They're going to be held accountable, and we're going to review the lawsuit here shortly. But let's see what's going on with Jay-Z.
New this morning, Jay-Z is hitting back against the woman who claimed he raped her when she was 13 years old. Jay-Z has filed a defamation suit against that woman. The new suit also names the woman's attorneys, claiming they were soullessly motivated by greed to extort payments from the rapper. It comes months after the woman dropped her civil lawsuit against Jay-Z. The woman's attorneys say investigators intimidated her to recant her story, but she is standing by her claims despite her lawsuit being withdrawn.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC7 content.
All right, so shout out to ABC for kicking us off the right way. Let's see what TMZ is reporting that Jane Doe is saying now that she knows she's going to be facing a lawsuit from a man who is clearly intent on seeing this all the way through. Jayz, assault accuser, says, "I'm terrified of him, but I stand by my claims." Oh boy, here we go. And this news just dropped this morning. The anonymous woman who accused Jayz of assault in a since dismissed lawsuit is sticking by her story. And she says she's intimidating. She says he's intimidating and terrifying her. This person who she's never met in her life, by her own admission, she's intimidated. It's crazy. The Jane Doe who sued Jayz and Diddy for allegedly assaulting her when she was a 13-year-old girl doubled down on her claims in new legal documents obtained by TMZ. And she says Hove is trying to bully her into saying her accusations are bogus, which she says anyway. But we'll get into it in a second. In the docs, the woman claims she was recently approached outside her home and cornered, by two people who told her they were investigators working for one of Jay-Z's lawyers. She claims the people tried to get her to sign an affidavit stating that her assault claims against Jay-Z were false, but she refused. In a statement here from Rock Nation, the woman also claims the alleged investigators asked her if her attorney, Tony Buzbee, sought her out as a client and offered her money to pursue false claims against Jay-Z, two allegations she says she denied. She claims the alleged confrontation left her intimidated and terrified, wondering how they found her when her identity had remained anonymous in media reports and legal proceedings. I told y'all they knew who this woman was, and it was going to come out pretty soon. The woman even claims her parents were approached by two investigators asking similar questions about Buzbee and her assault story. Jay-Z's accuser sued him late last year for allegedly drugging and assaulting her way back in 2000. But last month, she filed documents in federal court to voluntarily dismiss the suit with prejudice, meaning that it can't be refiled. All the while, Jay vehemently denied the allegations, and good for him for fighting back. In the new docs, she revealed she decided to drop the claim because she was frightened by the reaction from Jay-Z and his supporters. She says she feared she would be publicly outed and subjected to public attacks. And that's coming, yo. I'm telling you, if they know where she is and they know who this woman is, and she has indeed been approached and her family's been approached, we're going to know who she is soon enough. Jay-Z is now suing Buzbee and the woman, claiming she admitted to making the whole story up and told Buzbee it was bogus before he moved forward with the claims. But she says that is not the case, and Buzbee says Jay-Z's allegations are bogus. So let's see what TMZ has to say on this.
Well, Jay-Z and Beyonce were out in Beverly Hills this weekend. All smiles.
With good reason.
With very good reason, because they got a big legal victory on Friday.
Can I quote Trump on this one? Huge!
It was huge.
Huge.
Absolutely huge. It really is, because there was a woman who had come forward claiming that she had been raped by Jay-Z and Diddy back in 2000 after the VMA at a VMA after party.
And none of it made any sense.
Didn't make sense.
The
Huge
people who were
holes.
supposedly there were out of the state. The place they were at wasn't right.
Wasn't the right
There
place.
were a lot of holes in there.
And
Swiss cheese.
she finally filed to dismiss that lawsuit. So she dropped it voluntarily.
With prejudice.
Cannot be refiled. So this was not a case of a settlement.
It's
to be
disgusting.
clear, she filed,
Walked away, got no money.
got nothing.
Over.
And Jay-Z celebrated that, the fact that
We should say, and it was filed by the lawyer who has filed a slew of lawsuits against Diddy.
Tony Buzbee.
Tony Buzbee.
Right. And Tony Buzbee, spoke to us for one of our Diddy docs and was pretty open about this strategy he has of sending these demand letters.
He said this is the game. That
Right.
you basically send somebody a letter saying pay up or I'll
Exactly.
sue, and if they don't pay up, they'll sue.
Well-
and the point is that especially for a famous person, it's career ending.
Right. And Jay-Z calls it extortion. And in fact, he is suing Tony Buzbee over that. So even as the one accuser was dropping her lawsuit, Jay-Z was in court trying to make sure that his extortion lawsuit against Buzbee goes forward. And he mentioned something we had not heard before. He said that there was a second demand letter sent by Tony Buzbee to him last fall that mentioned a male accuser who, according to the story, as Jay-Z read it in a letter, claimed that he was underage at the time and that Jay-Z was involved in a sexual assault against him in Beverly Hills. Jay-Z flatly denies all that, but says,
crazy, man.
This is this guy, Buzbee, extorting me. He's sending me a letter that, in Jay-Z's eyes, was very clear he wanted a large sum of money.
Pay up or else I'm going to blow the whistle on you.
Yeah, and it's clear that Jay-Z's not letting this go. If you read his declaration in that case where he is suing Tony Buzbee, what he's saying is, I viewed these letters as an existential threat to my reputation, everything I've worked my whole life to build, and he wasn't going to take it lying down. So even though this lawsuit's been dismissed with prejudice, the one against him, it seems like Jay-Z's going forward and will continue to pursue Buzbee, maybe to, sort of send a message that you can't do this to a certain type of celebrity, not him.
Well, Jay-Z was calling Buzbee a 1-800 lawyer.
And as he should. I mean, with this being dismissed, it's clear Jay-Z had nothing to do with this, and it happens all the time. Think about this. Think about how many checks Tony Buzbee has gotten based off of false claims. Think about that for a second. I mean, Jay-Z was the only one who stood up and decided to fight. I don't know if I would do it. Y'all would have to let me know what you think you would do in that situation, but you don't know until you're there. Sometimes you just want to continue with your life and let things go away. But shout out to Jay-Z for actually sticking in there and fighting for it. And now he's going to get an opportunity to get some type of justice in this. And I hope he sees this all the way through, because Tony Buzbee, he should be ashamed of himself, and he should know, he does know better than to conduct himself like this. But he built a business off of it, so that's probably why he's not stopping.
The message that you can't do this to a certain type of celebrity, not him.
Well, Jay-Z was calling Buzbee a 1-800 lawyer.
Called him a 1-800 lawyer and says the system needs to change.
Ambulance chaser.
Can't have guys like this blowing up the lives of innocent people with allegations that he should be vetting and understand are not true. This is what Jay-Z had to say about this case against Buzbee. He said, I felt that Mr. Buzbee was placing a gun to my head, that I either bow to his demands or endure personal and financial ruin. As for the lawsuit filed on behalf of the female accuser, Jay-Z says, Mr. Buzbee purposely filed this on the eve of my daughter's premiere to put me in the position of having to choose between supporting my daughter or hiding to avoid the negative press.
Yep,
he's referring to Blue Ivy being in Mufasa.
Right.
And he did go to the premiere and stood there and took photos. Didn't say anything to the media, but he posed for those photos. And he just said that this is what's wrong with the system. He says this has to change.
And look, lawyers talk about this all the time, that there is a group of lawyers who will do this with celebrities, and they've made a big career out of it where, and look, sometimes these cases are legit. But then the question is, how far does the net go, right?
Well, I don't think you want to constrict the net too much that they have to sort of prove their case before they file it. You want to encourage people to file for the redress of their grievances, but you don't want lawyers to look the other way or put their head in the sand about contrary facts that might undermine their case just to score a quick settlement. So there is a balancing act there. I know Jay-Z wants to send a message, but to speak for lawyers, you do want to be able to send demands before you file lawsuits.
Hey, this is Gentry from Georgia, and Beyonce and Jay-Z are not in this type of controversy, so I'm not surprised that Jay-Z is going to go for Buzbee full-fledged, especially when he thinks it's personal and that he did it before Blue Ivy's premiere.
I agree.
I think it's going to go down, and Jay-Z's not playing any games with him at all.
I got to tell you, when you look at Alex Spiro,
Jay-Z's attorney,
who clearly won this case, and remember what he did for Alec Baldwin in Rust, where the whole thing blew up. I mean, he's on a roll.
Yeah.
He is on a roll.
All right. Oh, no, we don't want to get the music in there. Shout out to TMZ for reporting this. So we're going to have to wait and see and look into what Jay-Z is actually looking for, because there's no way that Tony Buzbee is going to make it through this. He already had his client dismiss this claim, as we saw with prejudice, means it can't be filed again. This is going to be a huge stain on his career as a whole. And I'll be interested to see what Jay-Z's looking for in this lawsuit. We're going to get into the lawsuit here in a second. So y'all make sure you stay tuned. But let me know what you think about this in the comments and in the chat. Is Jay-Z on the road for a win? Is this going to be a battle that Tony Buzbee isn't going to want to fight and will settle? Or is Jane Doe going to be the one that comes out and completely blows this whole thing up? Seems like she's not ready for a fight, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. Let me know what y'all think in the comments and in the chat. And let's go ahead and get into this Jay-Z lawsuit. I'm so happy to see this, man. I'm so happy to see this. Jim R mentioned it, and shout out to Happily Angry Lawyer. He was so right. People really should, when they're faced with something like this, something that they know they didn't do, they shouldn't allow lawyers to abuse the system like this. Obviously, the court shouldn't, but that's another question and another conversation for another day, which why is that allowed? But you really should fight. I know it takes a lot of resources, but this happens seemingly so often. We've seen lawsuits where people have come back and said they lied. Kai Cenat was involved, or Kai Cenat, excuse me, was involved in a lawsuit like that. There have been several other celebrities who have been involved in lawsuits like that. People who have seemingly just been in the room with the wrong person at the wrong time. It's crazy, man. I hope Jay-Z takes home a win in this one. We got a couple more super chats. Shout out to Alejandra in the building with the 2-bomb and the super sticker. Thank you for that, Alejandra. I appreciate it. We've also got Samantha Crumbly in the building with the 2-bomb as well. She says he's doing the most distractions. Somebody asked, how did Jay-Z get her name and information? I thought she was a Jane Doe. It's not hard. You can conduct, I could find out her name. Just conduct simple surveillance. You figure out when Tony Buzbee is meeting with certain people. You go to the location where he generally holds his meeting. You find out the people who are meeting with. You see who's coming in and out of the building. You talk to certain people. It would be pretty easy to narrow down. And with Jay-Z's connections, he probably just went over to NBC and said, hey, can y'all tell me who that chick was that did the interview? He knows somebody over there. He just called and said, what was her name? And they gave up her name. And then imagine somebody who works for NBC. No, someone who does the lighting. Jay-Z said, hey, were you here? Were you here when that girl came in for the interview? Yeah, I was. All right, I'll give you $10,000 if you'll give me any information you can. Just describe her for me. Where'd they pick up their car? Oh, okay, they picked it up here and they went to the airport. All right, let me go back there. He goes to the airport. Hey, can I see y'all's surveillance video from that day? I was doing a little investigation. I mean, it would be so easy to do. Pray that people did not pay to make it go away. And now they hear this. They won't come out for various reasons. Shaking my. I don't think that's the case because this girl straight up lied. If you have a solid case, I mean, you also have a Cassie that she was arguably willing in a situation for decades and she got $30 million. So again, you have success stories and you have failure stories like this. To be honest, we don't see stories that fail like this often. Usually what happens is people get paid and it quote unquote goes away. So you don't see a story where somebody's like, okay, I lied, I'm sorry, we'll just dismiss this with prejudice. That happens very rarely when it comes to what we're seeing in the public. I'm sure behind the scenes, maybe the numbers are a little bit different, but from what we see, based on what we see, this doesn't happen often, which is why it's such a huge win, because somebody who was falsely accused, they came out, they said they were innocent, they fought it, and they won. Even in a lot of cases, we have examples of some athletes who were involved in some things at college. They were partying at the wrong place. They got accused their whole life and their whole career's over. And then you have the person who accused them of doing certain things. They come out years later and say, hey, sorry, guys, I wasn't telling the truth. That doesn't help or change their career. So I don't think this is a deterrent for people who are true victims to not come forward. I think this is a motivation maybe for them to have their story straight. But the reason this whole thing broke down is because she straight up lied. And just tell the truth and you should be okay. Don't back down from false claims. That's where the truth lies. I know, and that's it. That's the thing. Like, does somebody want to fight this? I'm gonna be honest, man. I might have settled this. I'm not gonna lie. Again, I'm not in Jay-Z's position, but I might be like, what do you want? Just, you want to check? I've got money. Just leave me alone. But the problem again with that is then more people are going to come out, and eventually at some point you're going to have to fight it, or you're going to have to keep writing checks. So it's tough. It's a tough spot to be in. So let's go ahead. Again, thank y'all for liking the video. Thank you for the super chats, and shout out to the 1,000 of y'all that are in the building. I appreciate you. Let's go ahead and get into this lawsuit and see what Jay-Z's trying to say. So Jay-Z finally filed a lawsuit against Tony Buzbee. Not only Tony Buzbee, but a lawsuit against Jane Doe. Jane Doe, she says, obviously we heard in the NBC interview that maybe she misremembered some things. Now she dismissed the entire lawsuit against Diddy and Jay-Z, and it can't not be brought again. It's completely done. Now Tony Buzbee's looking foolish because he didn't do his due diligence in vetting this client, and he's under fire for a lot of things by the Southern District of New York because he wasn't even admitted to file this in the first place. This is just a whole mess. We're going to get into the lawsuit here and see what is going on, what Jay-Z is trying to do, what he wants to get from Tony Buzbee, and what will be the repercussions if Jay-Z wins this lawsuit. So let's go ahead and get into it. We've got the plaintiff Sean Corey Carter's complaint and demand for a jury trial. I think he's going to see this all the way through, y'all. Introduction. False, malicious, strategically and tactically calculated and timed to inflict maximum pain and suffering on Mr. Carter, and in conspiracy with multiple attorneys, including defendants Tony Buzbee and David Fortney, who, like her, were soullessly motivated by greed and abject disregard of the truth and the most fundamental precepts of human decency. Wow. Here we go. These are the only truthful and fair descriptions of Jane Doe's and her lawyer's malevolent efforts to assassinate the impeccable and lifetime earned character of Sean Corey Carter, who's professionally known as Jay-Z, but more importantly is known as a dad and a husband and son and a human being who did nothing to deserve or elicit the wanton, depraved attack that Jane Doe, in conspiracy with her lawyers, launched to extort Jay-Z beginning on November 5th, 2024, through a menacing private demand letter. Ooh, we're going to get into the letter here in a second. Doe and her lawyers, Tony Buzbee, David Fortney, and Anthony G. Buzbee, LP, then brought before the world an in-court complaint, the impossibility and indeed absurdity of which was surpassed only by its vile malevolence, goodness, in a desperate attempt to leverage Mr. Carter into an extortionate payoff, which these malicious actors presented as the only path for Mr. Carter to prevent the public prosecution of a law by Doe. My goodness, this should be made into a movie. When their initial extortionate demand letter failed to yield the financial windfall they sought, and after Doe told Buzbee, with whom she had never spoken before the demand letter was drafted and sent, that Jay-Z did not assault her. Oh. Buzbee pushed her towards going forward with the false story against Jay-Z to make the case better and get them, the lawyer and her, more money. Specifically, and that's a quote, y'all. Where are these quotes coming from? Specifically, Buzbee brought Jay-Z into it. Buzbee then went forward with naming Jay-Z with full knowledge by him as imparted to him by Doe that Jay-Z had never assaulted Doe, and Doe's entire story as it's related to Jay-Z was completely fabricated. We need to give her a name other than Doe. What do y'all want to call her? Ingrid or something? I don't know. Let me know in the comments into the chat. What name should we give Jane Doe? Because I'm tired of calling her Jane Doe. She needs to be exposed. Doe has now voluntarily admitted directly to the representatives of Jay-Z that the story brought before the world in court and on global television was just that, a false, malicious story. She has admitted that Jay-Z did not assault her and that indeed it was Buzbee himself whom she met for the first time at a coffee shop in Houston on the day of her maliciously false NBC News interview, which is discussed in detail below, who pushed her to go forward with the false narrative of the assault by Jay-Z in order to leverage a maximum payday. This is interesting. I told y'all before we started reading this, they knew who she was. They've known who she was for a long time. It said they followed her. They didn't say this, but they're saying they saw her go to a coffee shop with Tony Buzbee that same day. So they knew what was going on. They know who she is, and her name will be named. Stay tuned for it. To compound this egregious harm, just last Friday, Buzbee and Fortney's counsel, a prominent New York attorney in the now dismissed false action against Jay-Z, threatened Jay-Z's counsel to double down with yet another false public statement by Doe if Jay-Z publicly revealed her admissions. Wow. And Buzbee and Fortney's misdeeds in Jay-Z's pending California lawsuit against Buzbee. Fortunately, and clearly unexpectedly from their perspective, Doe, Buzbee, and Fortney were met with nothing but righteous resolve at every turn by Jay-Z. He was not backing down at all. He stood steadfast, publicly decried the lies being put forth against him, and beat the evil conspiracy among malicious Doe and her malevolent, soulless lawyers, driving them back into the shadows from which they came, sounding like Gandalf, resulting in the voluntary dismissal with prejudice, without settlement, of their false and malicious complaint on February 14th, 2025. So everybody who's reporting, oh, Jay-Z probably paid them, stop. There was no settlement. Stop the lies. If there was, according to New York law, it would have had to been disclosed. So can y'all chill on that? I know you hate Jay-Z. I know you want to see him go down for whatever reason, but can we stick to the facts, please? There was no settlement, and they're saying it here in this document. All right. And they didn't force her to dismiss anything. She voluntarily dismissed it with prejudice, means it ain't coming back. It's disgusting. Jay-Z does not commence this action lightly. Following Jane Doe's admission that she fabricated her claims against Jay-Z, her lawyers have continued to seek to hide this reality, including through further extortionate threats and demands by Buzbee, Fortney, and their New York co-counsel on February 28th. Even after all of this, Jay-Z does not expose his malicious and wrongful accuser's identity in this complaint. I wish he would, seeking to maintain her anonymity as Doe. Well, again, that's Jay-Z saying they know who she is, but they're going to protect her for whatever reason. I would expose the hell out of this chick. But the extortion and abuse of Jay-Z by Doe and her lawyers must stop. Therefore, Jay-Z brings this lawsuit to hold Doe accountable for her willful defamation per se and her malicious prosecution of knowingly false allegations against Jay-Z that Doe and her co-conspirator attorneys have falsely and maliciously peddled. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what I think is going to happen. What's going to happen is this is going to go to trial. Jay-Z is not backing down from this. He is going to bury Jayz. He's going to bury Tony Buzbee under whatever he needs to be buried under. I don't know, the federal building, or maybe under the Southern District of New York, right? They're going to convince Jane Doe, hey, we'll take you out of this if you just testify. You got to get up there, you got to testify, and you have to say exactly what happened. Just tell the truth. And then we'll let it go. And guess what Jane Doe is going to do? She's going to throw Tony Buzbee all the way up under that bus. Someone said in the chat, he needs to be taught a lesson. And all the other lawyers who Harvey mentioned from TMZ and the other video we watched, they've built businesses off of this. And my plan is to be very, very, very successful. I don't want to have to deal with the Tony Buzbee when that point comes. I want Jay-Z to fall. Jay-Z, anything I can do to help support this, please let me know, because I want the Tony Buzbees of the world to be eliminated when I get to that certain level. All right. So let me know what I could do, because I want you to see this through as much as you can. We got the jurisdiction and venue. We've got the parties. We know who they are, right? Shout out to Amy for saying Tony bugs me. I love that. That's hilarious. Allegations common to all claims for relief. Here we go. First off, after hiring the Buzbee law firm, Doe falsely accuses Jay-Z of assault in written correspondence, court filings, and on global television. We know this story, but I'll read through it real quick, right? Shout out to Tony Bugs Me. Doe appears to be suffering from personal and financial hardship. She lost custody of her children, and her parents, who, on information and belief, support Doe, recently filed for bankruptcy protection. Oh my gosh, this family's a mess. Desperate to obtain a payday, Doe hired the Buzbee law firm, which has a long history of whipping up a media frenzy with vague and sensational claims against public figures to extort payments from Jay-Z under the threat of devastating harm to his reputation. As discussed below, Doe first attempted to extort Jay-Z through an extortionate demand letter and an anonymous lawsuit, both from Buzbee. And remember when that came out, Jay-Z said, "Hey, we want to know who this person is." Tony Buzbee said, "No, we're not going to tell you who it is." The judge agreed and allowed Jane Doe to remain anonymous. When Jay-Z refused to capitulate to Doe's baseless demands, Doe doubled down by using the justice system to attempt to ruin Jay-Z by formally naming Jay-Z in a complaint, making horrific false allegations. And when they also failed, Doe resorted to defaming Mr. Carter, Jay-Z, on global television. A sample of Google or other public record search of Doe by Buzbee and Fortney would have cast doubt on her credibility by revealing that, among other things, A, less than 90 days before sending the demand letter, she had been in court on mental health related issues in connection with her second-degree assault charge. What? And her bail revoked for failing a drug test. All of y'all defending this Jane Doe should be ashamed. Every one of you that are out here just trying to find something on Jay-Z should also be ashamed. This lady was a mess. She was she was clearly dealing with a lot. And even before we knew all of this information, we found out this lady was a POS just like her attorneys. She had all of this going on during this time. She was in court in connection with her second-degree assault charge and her bail revoked for failing a drug test. She had several mental health disorders and takes multiple medications, according to her testimony from psychiatrists laid bare in public court records. And she made 3 other assault allegations, which were either dropped or dismissed by courts. This lady's it scares me, man, to think that there's people like this just walking around in the streets. It doesn't scare me. I'm not scared. But you know what I'm saying? It worries me. I'm concerned that there's people like this just walking around in the street and you don't know who they are. Second-degree assault charge. She failed a drug test, mental health issues, on tons of medication, and she made 3 other assault allegations. I would guess that she's probably a part of a certain community, but I'm not going to go down that road. Y'all want to hear that. Doe sues. What else do we have? Doe sues Diddy's entities, and Doe's 1 through 10, alleging that she was assaulted at an after party following the 2000 MTV Music Video Awards. We're not going to go through this. We know exactly what happened, or what she says happened there. Doe sends Jay-Z an extortionate letter falsely accusing him of assault. A few weeks after filing her complaint, Doe, through Buzbee, sent Jay-Z an extortionate letter dated November 5th, 2024, containing false allegations of vile conduct by Jay-Z. Some of the allegations in Doe's letter were from the public complaint Doe filed against Combs and Doe's 1 through 10, which contained inconsistencies that were later changed when the complaint was amended, with the obvious implication being that she would amend her complaint to add Jay-Z if he refused to pay. Doe threatened to take a different course if Jay-Z did not commit to a confidential mediation to resolve the delicate and important matter by the deadline of November 19, 2024, giving Jay-Z only a 2-week window before she would go public with her false allegations. To avoid both public and criminal exposure, Buzbee stated that his client wants something of substance by way of a settlement. Garbage. However, Doe had already sued Jay-Z, albeit as one of the Doe's 1 through 10. That makes sense. Doe's plan was thus clear. She was demanding that Jay-Z either A, pay something of substance to stop her from making public the wildly false allegations of assault, and that would subject Jay-Z to, I don't know that, and irreparably harm his reputation, family, career, and livelihood, or 2, endure the financial and personal ruin, which is not a good solution. Doe's statements and correspondence made it clear the immediate and extensive threat of exposure if Jay-Z failed to pay. What else happened? Doe amends her lawsuit to falsely allege that Jay-Z assaulted her. We know this happened. We read through the lawsuit. We saw all of it, right? What else happened? Doe goes on global television falsely accusing Jay-Z of assault. We know what happened there. We saw and watched the interview. She lied all up and down that thing. All of Doe's allegations against Jay-Z were demonstrably false. There it is. Doe's allegations about Jay-Z are false and defamatory, and her mendacity is clear, including the reporters at NBC News. First, although Doe stated that the assault occurred at a residence, Jay-Z was at no such residence. Indeed, NBC News located photos of Jay-Z from that evening showing him at a party at a commercial location. The now closed Lotus nightclub in New York City, Exhibit 3, the NBC article shows. Of course, a private nightclub cannot be mistaken for a large white residence with a gated U-shaped driveway that included a large living room or a foyer, a hallway containing several rooms off of it, and a bedroom. Even Buzbee admitted to NBC that Doe does not claim the assault occurred at a Lotus nightclub. Second, Doe told NBC that she spent 20 minutes in a limo before arriving at the residence. However, when pressed about those details in a follow-up interview with NBC, Doe admitted she did not know where she was going or even how to drive or how long the drive took. Worse, she conceded to NBC that she guessed about the length of the time of the trip had taken in the lawsuit. So she didn't know for sure, right? Third, as to her description of a supposed conversation with Benji Madden during her interview with NBC News, a representative for Madden confirmed to NBC News that neither he nor his brother Joel attended the 2000 VMAs and that they and their band Good Charlotte were on tour in the Midwest at the time. When confronted with this evidence, she concluded she made a mistake in identifying them and that not all faces at the after party were clear. And a lot of people were saying, oh, okay, well, maybe this happened in 2003. If you look at 2003, you can see that this is possible. No, because it didn't happen. Again, people wanted Jay-Z to go down so bad during this whole situation. It's weird and it's hard for me to see. But when you're in this type of position, people, they thrive off of that, I guess, which is disturbing in my opinion. Regarding her long pre-dawn drive home with her father, Doe's father told NBC News that he does not recall picking up Doe, which unsurprisingly would have been something, and he said this in the NBC interview, something that would definitely stick in my mind. He said that he learned of the alleged assault when Doe was interviewed by NBC News in December, and that he did remember once picking Doe up in the middle of the night, but it was a local drive, he said. So we've already been through all this. We know she lied. Doe waited months before dismissing her false complaint and did so after being lied to by her attorneys for their own benefit. Mr. Carter, Jayz, made several court filings repeatedly detailing the falsity of Doe's claims as revealed by her story's inconsistencies and the baselessness of various allegations. At each of these junctures, Doe was confronted with the false nature of her claim, as well as the harm it was causing Jayz. At any of these points, Doe could have withdrawn her lawsuit. Nevertheless, Doe continued to pursue her claim without regard to the harm it was causing or could cause Jayz. She has now admitted that Jayz did not assault her. Indeed, Buzbee was aware that Jayz did not assault her, pushed her to make the false claim for money. Get Tony Buzbee out of here, man. His time is up. Having already sent the false and defamatory demand letters, having filed the false and defamatory complaint, and having already set Doe up to give false and defamatory interview to NBC News. So it was Buzbee's idea for her to do the interview. Why? Why would Tony Buzbee have her do that NBC interview? I don't know what he was thinking there. Buzbee, Fortney, and the Buzbee law firm were happy to perpetuate the lies and hold out hope for an unwarranted payment for them and Doe. Indeed, Buzbee went so far as to tell TMZ on December 10th, 2024, already fully aware of the falsity of the allegations, having met with Doe in Houston, that Doe was not ruling out filing assault charges or the criminal charges against Jayz, and that what happens next is up to my client. It's her case, and she decides to do, and what she decides to do, you will find out in due course. Well, what she decided to do was dismiss this claim with prejudice. However, the legal process got in the way of their scheme. Buzbee had signed the complaints in the action against Jayz without being admitted to the bar of the United States District Court for the Southern District of New York as required. He messed up there. The very next day, Buzbee applied for the admission after he lied and said that he had already applied. Terrible. Faced with his inability to comply with the judge's orders in the case against Jayz and facing the threat of punishment by the court, Buzbee dispatched Fortney to Alabama to meet with Doe that same day, namely February 13th, 2025. I wonder where they're getting all this information from. During that meeting, Fortney falsely, maliciously, and manipulatively told Doe that the case against Jayz needed to be dismissed as Jayz had made threats against Doe's life and it was too dangerous to continue with the case. Of course, no such threats had ever been made. It sounds like they've talked to Jane Doe or somebody close to her already. Buzbee and Fortney were desperate to withdraw the false case or face punishment in court for their actions in filing a false pleading without Buzbee even being admitted in the Southern District of New York, jeopardizing the ability to continue with the more than 20 other cases they had pending in the Southern District of New York. Thus, on the evening of Friday, February 14, 2025, Doe quietly filed her voluntary dismissal with prejudice, and that's Exhibit 8, notice of voluntary dismissal. But threats and extortion did not end with the dismissal of Doe's fraudulent lawsuit. Rather, on Friday, February 28th, 2025, after Doe admitted all of the foregoing and after Buzbee became aware of those admissions, a prominent New York attorney serving as Buzbee and Fortney's co-counsel called an attorney for Jayz. During that call, Buzbee and Fortney's New York co-counsel threatened that if Jay-Z's attorney filed anything in Jay-Z's pending extortion and defamation case in California against Buzbee related to the statements made by Doe, fully I'm going to get there. Mr. Carter and inculpate. I'm struggling. Oh my gosh. Her and Buzbee for extortion and conspiracy, that Buzbee would issue a public statement by Doe that she, one, had been harassed by Mr. Carter's people since she dropped the lawsuit, and two, dropped the lawsuit only because she was afraid for her life, and that the allegations against Mr. Carter in the drop lawsuit were all true. All right. Of course, those allegations about being harassed by Mr. Carter's people since she dropped the lawsuit and about her reasons for dropping the lawsuit are and always were false. When Doe, Buzbee, and Fortney in their New York co-counsel said them, they knew or could readily have discovered through any reasonable inquiry that these statements were false. Thus, the threats of extortion and further defamation continue to this day, necessitating that Mr. Carter take action to prevent unscrupulous actors from further preying on him. All right. Here we go. First cause of action: malicious prosecution against all defendants. That's one. What do they have next? And we know where that comes from. Abuse of process against all defendants. Tony Buzbee did not follow the rules. We know that, right? Let's keep going. What else do they have? We have civil conspiracy against all defendants, because this never should have been filed in the first place. Fourth, defamation against Doe. Doe has made false and defamatory statements to and through third parties, including but not limited to major media outlets, and through her attorney Buzbee on social media platforms and during public interviews, accusing Jay-Z of assaulting her. These statements were widely disseminated to the general public through media outlets, social media platforms, and during public interviews. Pretty straightforward there. What else do we have? The prayer for relief. Wherefore, Jay-Z respectfully prays for judgment and relief against Jane Doe as to all causes of actions, and Anthony Buzbee, David Fortney, and Anthony G. Buzbee LP, or the law firm, right? As follows. Here's what they want: an award of assumed and actual damages in an amount to be determined by the finder of fact, an award of punitive damages, reasonable costs and legal fees pursuant to applicable law, pre and post judgment interest as applicable, and any other relief the court deems just and appropriate. Demand for jury trial. Mr. Carter demands a jury trial, or a trial by jury, of all issues so oh my gosh. All issues so triable. They're not going anywhere. The thing about this is, and of course, shout out to William G. Somerville. Shout out to Somerville. This is dated March 3rd, 2025. And that is it. Jay-Z doesn't need money. Well, I won't say he doesn't need money. He's not doing this because of the money. He's not like Jane Doe. He's not like Tony Buzbee. He's not trying to get a settlement so he can continue his career. He's doing just fine. He's going to see this all the way through, just like he said he was going to see it all the way through when the false claims were brought against him in the first place. This is going to be a show. I think it's going to be the end of Tony Buzbee, and he messed up for the final time, in my opinion. So let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. Wow. Absolutely crazy. I cannot wait to see what happens here, because Tony Buzbee should have known better, and he messed up. He definitely messed up. We got another super chat in here. Shout out to Samantha Crumbly in the building with the 2 bomb, said she definitely messed up. People didn't think Jay-Z was going to fight. I didn't think Jay-Z should fight. I'm like, man, just get this over with. It's not even worth it. You know how this is going to go. Sure enough, Jay-Z won. He made the right decision. He made the right choice. Yeah, Amy's killing me with the Tony Buzbee. That is hilarious, man. Shout out to Amy. Wow, there's people out here still defending her. Unbelievable. I don't think it's defending her. They just hate Jay-Z for whatever reason. They want to see Jay-Z go down. 20 minutes to leave downtown to get to the burbs. Ridiculous. This is why mental health issues need to be addressed. I'll be slobbering from the mouth before I get into shenanigans like this. And she had to sit there and lie and lie and lie and lie and lie. Tony Buzbee had to lie and lie and lie in legal documents that we could see and pull up. Shout out to Samantha Crumbly with the 2-bomb, says it's a battle of egos for billionaires. It's fun to watch, that's for sure. And Jay-Z, and in Jay-Z's case, it's about his reputation. He has so many good things going for him with his deal with the NFL, with everything that Rock Nation's doing now with A$AP Rocky. Being found not guilty on all accounts. Now he's doing well with Ray-Ban. He's got so many artists under him. He's got his sports management side of things. He's doing so well. So it's about reputation for him. And for him to be able to take some Don dish soap and just wipe that part of his reputation clean, I think all the hard work he puts in for it, he deserves. And it's clear that these were a lie. So, no, why would you want false allegations to be brought up against anyone? It's weird to me. He's doing this because he lost his bid for the casino in New York. Oh, there's that part too. In the last document we reviewed, that was mentioned that Jay-Z, he lost millions and millions of dollars. Sad, man. What if he lied about the Deshaun Watson case? That's a good point. That's what Drake would do. He always gambles and is losing. Oh, dang. We taking shots at Drake today? I don't see where Drake's lost yet. He lost the beef between him and Kendrick Lamar. That's for sure. Anyway, let me know what y'all think about this. I had one more thing I was going to get into, but I think we're going to save that for tomorrow. And we'll get into what's going on with Diddy here, because I've got some more news that I'm looking at when it comes to Diddy and this new lawsuit that was filed against him. So I'm going to save that for tomorrow, because again, it's not about being first for me. And I don't know, maybe that'll be the downfall of this channel at one point, but I just want to report the facts. I'm not trying to be the first to say anything. So we'll get to that at some point. I appreciate y'all being here and supporting for sure. Shout out to Amy in the building with the 2-bomb. She says Tony Buzbee featuring She Lying Though. Oh. Oh man. Tony Buzbee featuring She Lying Though. Oh my gosh. Shout out to Amy, man. Thank you for the super chat. Connie says Drake been winning against the UMG. Exposed they are doing payola. And the FCC is on iHeartMedia as you know what right now. So look out for more news on that. Either way, appreciate y'all. Over 800 of you in the building. 800, almost 900 of you liked the video. Thank y'all so much for the support. I appreciate y'all so much. We'll be back here tomorrow for another episode of the morning show. I know it was a quick one, but we've always got some more news and some more legal documents to break down and misread. As always, y'all know what to do. Have a great afternoon and keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We gone. Peace.